Hello and welcome to the second VTM for the Obyx language. In this VTM I'm going to show you how to compile the Obyx language itself on Debian. There's a couple of things that we'll need to actually compile on Debian because they're not actually kept within the software repositories that Debian provides. One of them is Xerxes, the C++ version, not the Java version. Xerxes is a XML parser, and although an old version does exist in the Debian repositories, but it's no good for our use. We depend on version 3+, which is currently not available. Only the 2.8 version is available. So we'll need to be compiling this from source. Unfortunately it's not even available in backports at the moment, which does make compilation slightly tricky. The other package we'll need is an application called Xkiller, which is a XPathing library, if I understand correctly. And again, this is a fairly young project, and it doesn't exist in the Debian repositories because of this. It's not considered stable, I assume. But anyway, these are two packages that we'll be requiring. I've got a virtual machine set up just down here, which I'll just log into. Okay, I'm gonna sudo up to root just to make things a little bit simpler for myself. So user local source. Let's download these packages. You can find the Xerxes C++ version 3. We need to download that. Which can be found there. Which can be found there. Right click and copy. Just going to wget that into the source directory of my virtual machine. There we go. And the same we'll do with Xkiller, although this is a little bit more tricky because it involves SourceForge. So we need to go into Xkiller. We need to get the 2.4 version, the latest version, and in here we need to get the TGZ, and now we need the direct link. Of course that'll automatically try and download, but I don't want it to. I need the direct link address so I can punch it in and wget that. Think. Right, so while that downloads, we'll also need a copy of the Obyx source code. Now these are the ones that we've just downloaded here, the Xerxes and Xkiller. We'll also need these Debian packages, which are available in the repositories, making them significantly easier to get. That's libpcre3dev, which is Perl compatible regular expressions. libcurl, I'm not entirely sure what curl stands for, but it's for communication with web servers. The MySQL client C++ bindings development version. libgmp, which is a mass processing library, which is what provides the mathematical expressions within Obyx, and of course Build Essential, which is the compilers and the libraries necessary to actually build software on your machine. So now these have downloaded, we're gonna just quickly get all the dependencies installed. So okay, it's a nice big chunk of software to download. We can see on the Obyx website as well, there is a list of dependencies. I believe it's document section. No, it's in download section, excuse me. Installation on Debian. We can see all the system requirements here in the installation process in detail. If you'd like to see that for yourself on the website, it goes through the actual setup, Xerxes and Xkiller. These two libraries aren't much of an issue to actually download and install yourself. They're just standard configure, make, install Okay, so as you can see, we've got all the software downloaded now. We're going to unpack the Xerxes library, and likewise we'll also unpack the Xkiller library. Okay, Xerxes has been successfully configured. We have to now make it. Okay, now Xerxes has been successfully built, we just need to make install it. Now Xerxes is completely installed now, so now we can move on to the Xkiller library. It's built in exactly the same way, just configure, now type make. Now Xkiller has finished building, we can now finish it off with make install. And that's it. We now have all the dependencies installed, and now we can start concentrating on Obyx itself. If we go up a level, one thing that I did off camera was installed Subversion tools, which you don't have to use. You can use any Subversion client you desire, as long as it is able to communicate with the Subversion server over HTTP. So now we check out the source code for Obyx. svn co http svn.obyx.org/supported/version 1, and call that Obyx. And downloads. Okay, there. cd into that directory. Now, the build system that we use for Obyx is different from other build systems. Not difficult necessarily, but it doesn't have a configure script. What it does have instead is inside docs, inside install. It's a little bit hidden and it's not too easy to find. Scroll down a bit, you'll see eventually a reference to a file called local.cfg, I believe it's called. Here we go. This is what we need. Now this file is very sensitive where it is placed. It is placed in the level above Obyx. So just put all of that in there. And these are all compiler flags which are required. You do have to change something here. The first thing you need to change is these switches here. If you haven't got the PostgreSQL C++ bindings, you need to take that line out. Obviously we've already installed the MySQL C++ binding, so we can leave that in there. You also need to remove, or well, change rather, the rpath. I tend to go for var dub. Now it'll install into rpath plus CGI dir. So var www CGI. Got to make sure that directory exists. Okay, so go into var. There's no www yet, so just make that directory. There we go, we've got the files installed. The folders initialized even. Okay. Just make sure that is all correct. Okay. And then it is simply just a case of typing make. And now Obyx is successfully compiled. You can see here the last line was installing var dub cgi obyx.cgi. Now hopefully we'll encounter a problem here. Error while loading shared libraries libxerces c 3.1.so cannot open shared object file. Okay, this isn't anything to be worried about. This is because the local cache has not been rebuilt yet after installing Xerxes. It is solved simply by typing ld config, hit return. Obviously that has to be run as root. Now when we try and run it again, it works fine. What you see here is just a default output of Obyx notifying that there has been an error. But in this case there has been no error. It is just outputting the version to the screen, as we can see here, but won't go into that. You can actually see the version on the command line by doing obyx.cgi minus capital V, and we can see here that it is Obyx version 1.11.01.20, and it is supported, and it's been built on that date just there. And that is it. That is Obyx completely compiled on Debian.